Are you looking for more sales and clients? I don't know of many businesses who aren't. Well, I do know of a few, a few of our clients actually who are really struggling to keep up with the demand. And are you one of those? But, for the most part, when I wander around social media, I hear a lot of negativity, so are you finding that social media or you feel like it's becoming a waste of time? Or perhaps setting up complicated lead generation funnels like I talked about in the last tea time tip, are they too overwhelming for you to consider and think about at this time? So in today's show, what we're going to talk about is you're going to learn what your direct online and offline advertising options are that will help you get more immediate results instead of waiting for your long-term strategies like the social media marketing, the content marketing, all of those kind of strategies to kick in. So you don't want to miss this. I am your host, Susan Friesen. I'm the founder of eVision Media. We are a full-service web development and digital marketing agency where we help build successful businesses and brands through brand design and graphic design, custom website development, and digital marketing, so that our clients can be proud to showcase their business to the world. And so if you want to know more information about what we do and how we can help you, go ahead and visit evisionmedia.ca. So stay for the entire show, I implore you, because we're going to be talking about advertising strategies. What you need to have as an advertising budget in order to see immediate results. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what your online advertising options are, and even your offline advertising options and the ones that are still working, believe it or not. And I did cover a little bit about that in the last tea time tip, but I thought that there was so much more that we could be talking about. So that's why I decided to dedicate today's show all to that one subject. And so stick around to the end, because I'm going to also give you some tips on how to implement these advertising strategies as well. Hey, Daniel Simmons, so glad that you came to join us. I so appreciate you and your support. Daniel is on our team. Obviously, he's also my husband and a huge support system, and he does all of the SEO and SEM marketing. So this is his wheelhouse, the advertising, the rollouts, the campaigns that he does. Between he and I do the strategizing and the figuring out, and he does the implementation of all of the ads, along with a few other people on our team. So thank you, Daniel, for joining us. As I said, the last time we talked about lead generation campaigns, and they're often referred to as marketing funnels that include the landing pages and the autoresponder series. That type of strategy is typically called pull marketing, where you're pulling people into your sphere and you're drawing them into your world who show an interest in what it is that you're offering. And it tends to be a long-term strategy unless you couple it with direct advertising, and that's why I talked about it in the last show. But if you set up a lead generation funnel where you've got a splash page and the autoresponder series, but you don't do any direct advertising to it, then it is a long-term strategy, because you're counting on people just blindly following it, or just whenever you happen to mention it, that's when you'll be sending people there. So it really does need to be coupled with a paid advertising campaign in order to actually generate some leads. But that's not the only reason and the only way that you could and should be doing your online ads. And so that's what we're going to dive more into today, where it's more about the short term, the quicker results, the stuff that's going to get you faster results by spending a little bit of money and putting some paid ads into your efforts. And it really is crucial. It is crucial to have some sort of an advertising budget when you run a business that you can't. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say you can't. Of course, you can run a business without any advertising at all. But just don't expect to get really fast, immediate results through that kind of a strategy. You're playing a long-term goal, right? A long-term game where it may take months and even years for you to get the momentum to start, having a really thriving, sustainable business. So it's not that it can't be done, but if you are looking for short-term, quick, let's get going, let's move on this strategies, then you need to have some sort of a marketing budget. When we talk about the long-term strategies, often they encompass, social media postings and content marketing and blogging and sending out newsletters. All of those are that pull marketing strategies, those long-term strategies that involve the relationship marketing part of things, where you're wanting to develop the know, like, and trust factor with the people who are, in your sphere of influence. And, those are long-term strategies, which might take several months, if not longer, to get significant results. So the direct advertising that we're going to talk about today is more of a short-term strategy where you get the sales and leads much quicker. So ideally, you want to do both. You want to couple the pull marketing, those long-term strategies, along with the push marketing, which is your direct advertising. That is an ideal scenario. So make sure that you have some money in your budget to pay for those direct push marketing strategies that we're going to talk about today. And one thing that you want to really be careful of is that if sales are slow, then that is not the time to be cutting out all of your marketing. I see this over and over again. People are starting to panic that the bank account is dwindling and sales are slowing down for whatever reason. It could be the market. It could be just that time of the year. It could be all kinds of reasons why sales are slowing down, but that is not a reason to pull all of your marketing efforts, but essentially, definitely your advertising, because those advertisements might be, that next sale that you really do need. So that is a crucial part of your budget that you need to make sure that you keep intact and keep doing, as even if the sales are a little bit on the slow side. Also, you don't want to shut down advertising if things are going really well either. Like if the sales are up and you're going, hey, I've made it, I don't need to spend money on advertising anymore. No, it's the advertising that's helping you make those sales. So, you really need to remember that you are running a business and advertising is a part of that business, along with all of your other efforts that you are using in order to attract new clients and customers and sales. So if you pull advertising when things are going really well, 2 months from now, you're going to really regret that, because all of a sudden things are going to die. Okay, so let's first dive into what you need to determine before starting any kind of an advertising campaign. And this is super important that you do some strategizing first. And if you've been following me for a while now, you'll know that I'm all about strategy and planning. We don't want to waste our time. We don't want to waste our money. And so you can't just dive in and click that boost button and not knowing what you're doing or why you're doing it and what the purpose is doing it. And by the way, Daniel will probably tell you, do not click that boost button on Facebook. That's just not the best way to spend your money. And again, if you have been following me for a while, you'll know that the planning and the strategizing all has to start with you understanding who your ideal client is. You can't be running a business without understanding who that client is that is going to be the best type, that best group of people who are going to be more than happy to spend money on whatever it is that you are creating. And it isn't everybody. If you can't say as long as they're breathing, then they're a client. That's not true. And that's not true for any successful business. You have to figure out what that group of people are who are most likely to make a purchase with you. And so you have to figure that out first. And then what you want to do is, once you understand that, then you understand what type of media is going to be most useful for reaching that ideal target market. And by that, I mean, what kind of advertising is going to best get in front of them? How are they going to At what point are they going to see your advertisement, and are they going to respond favorably to that advertisement? So you have to think about this. Is it going to be online or offline? Believe it or not, there are some people who aren't on social media. I didn't say that out loud, but it's true. So don't assume that everybody is on Facebook or everybody is on Instagram. That's not the case. Actually, I have several clients who are not on social media at all. And so if I want to reach out to that particular group of clients, then online strategies is not going to work for me, except for maybe Google ads. So, but social media ads are not going to work. So you have to decide, where are your ideal clients and what are their habits here in order to find out how to get in front of them. So it might be print. It might be radio, it might be Facebook, or it could be better spent on LinkedIn. And those kinds of things you need to know and understand, because you don't want to be wasting your money. You must know where your audience is hanging out and what they're paying attention to, so that your ad can get in front of them and actually work and actually get the conversions that you're looking for. What is it that they're looking for from you? What do they need to know? What do they need to hear? What do they need to see in order to make that buying decision? And coupled with that is understanding how they make a buying decision. Do they make buying decisions emotionally, or is it more rationally? And that there's a big difference between the two, because if it's emotionally, then the kind of ads that you're going to run need to be emotionally based. It needs to evoke that emotion from them to make them go, oh, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for, right? Get them excited, or, get them filled with hope that they have found a solution. Where if it's more rationally, then they need more facts and figures, and they need to be sold on, on the numbers, right? What's in it for me? And, why should I buy from you? Those are the kinds of questions that these more analytical thinkers are looking for. They want to justify the sale. So you need to understand what type of client you have who is going to respond either way. The odds are that you might have both. And so you might need to run both kinds of campaigns. Who knows? And then once you figure that part out, try to understand what will appeal the most to persuade them into a conversion. So, at the end of the day, the whole point of advertising is to convert them from looking at the ad to clicking on the ad or responding to the ad in one way, shape, or form, and then converting them into a paying customer or client. That's the game, right? That's the game that we're playing. So there's steps of strategy that we have to take in order to make sure that that path is as seamless and trouble-free as possible, so that we're not losing anybody along the way. And honestly, people, that's the business that Daniel and I are in. That's what we do day in and day out, is to analyze our stats and figure out and test and tweak and figure out what's going on. Where are we losing people? What do we need to do in order to gain them back and stop losing them at that point? And so, this is really a professional's profession, but it's really it's really important for you to understand what it takes in order to create a successful advertising campaign, whether you try to do it yourself or whether you're hiring somebody to do it for you. You still need to know the mechanics, the strategy involved. And so then once you figure all that out, you also need to know what kind of budget that you have that you can use that's going to, not get you in the red, right? You don't want to be spending umpteen dollars and not getting any return on that investment. So you have to kind of figure that out as far as, what are you willing to spend and on that advertising budget, and then how much profit is likely to be earned for each dollar that you spend on your advertising? Answering these questions will help define the kind of market conditions that you're working within, because every business has a different marketing condition, right? Market condition, not marketing condition. And so you really do need to identify your advertising campaign goals and determine your actual budget. And so a budget example might be, this is just a random example where if you dedicate a certain percentage of your item to advertising, if you dedicate like 5% of your budget, your goal then is $100,000 in sales per year. And that ad budget would then be $5,000. And so it's a game of numbers, right? And so you really need to figure that all out in order to know and anticipate what your returns are going to be with your type of campaign that's going on. All right, so now that you have all that strategy in place, you've got all the paperwork done, and you've figured out who your target audience is. Now decide, from this, from all of these options that I'm about to tell you, what is going to be the best way for you to move forward. Now, as I said, I did cover this slightly in the last episode, but at the end of the day, there's two primary areas of advertising. Now, I'm talking more about entrepreneurs, solo entrepreneurs, small businesses, micro businesses. Like, we're not getting into the corporate world here, where we don't have the multi-million-dollar budgets, okay? And so, we're talking more only by social media advertising and the SEM, the search engine marketing route. And so within the social media realm, at the end of the day, you want to find out and really do your research on where your target market is hanging out. There's a lot of different options to advertise, different platforms that you can be spending your marketing dollar on, and you need to know which one of those platforms is where your target market is. And so obviously you've got Facebook and Instagram, you've got LinkedIn, you've got Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube ads, even Snapchat, and there's others. But, those are the primary ones where Facebook and Instagram are your primary social media channels. And the only reason for that is because of the numbers. Facebook has so many people who are on Facebook that the odds are really good that at least a good portion of your target market is on Facebook. So the key here is when you're doing your ads is to drill down and define that audience within your ad campaign so that you're only displaying your ads towards those particular people. So it's still really important to understand who your target market is in order to deliver your ad to the right group of people, the right segment. And so those are kind of your social media options as far as where you can be placing ads and what type of business you have, what type of audience that you have will help you determine which social channel you should be advertising on. And then with the SEM, the search engine marketing, of course, the biggie is Google Ads. And again, that's kind of like a Facebook thing, right? Millions of people use Google to search for things and stuff that they're looking for, right? So the odds are pretty good that your target market uses Google. But not everybody does. So you might also want to consider Yahoo ads or Bing ads and see if you can get better results through those different channels and the other search engine directories that are out there as well. So that can also play a role, but I recommend that you start at least with Google and see where that's taking you and find out, do some surveys and ask your current customers, hey, do you ever use Google or do you use a different searching tool? And what social media channels are you currently using? The more you know about your current clients, the better you can adapt your advertising and marketing efforts to attract more of those people on those channels. All right. And then, so that's all the online stuff. And then the offline advertising considerations are plentiful. And offline advertising isn't dead. Yes, it can be more expensive. Typically, you are spending more dollars. And yes, they are kind of, one-offs in a way where, you got one ad and it's distributed to X amount of people. And once that ad has been sent out, then, it dies off very shortly after that. But some people really thrive on ads in that, that offline strategy. So I'm going to go over a few examples of what you can consider. Because some, people do benefit more, especially if they are local. So if you are a local, geographically based type of business, these kinds of strategies would really probably benefit you. Like if you have a brick and mortar store or a service where you're supplying services just to a geographic region, these kinds of ads probably would be very beneficial to you. Not ads, but advertising strategies, because it's not just all about ads that I'm going to talk about, because the very first thing that really doesn't have to be super expensive, but can be very effective, is sponsorship. So, you can sponsor events or sponsor local charities. There's lots of different things that you can be a sponsor of, and this will get you more, more exposure. And many times, like if we use an event as an example, there's different tiers of sponsorship available. So the low tier might get you a mention or, your name or your logo on the poster, where the higher tier might get you a commercial even, or an opportunity to speak for a couple of minutes on stage at the live event. So the more you spend, the more exposure you'll get. And if that exposure is in front of your ideal client, then it's a huge, huge bonus. So those kinds of strategies are really worthwhile looking into. And, definitely choose sponsorship opportunities where you know that your exposure is going to get in front of your ideal client, no matter, whatever type of sponsorship that you're going to choose. There's also silent auction donations. This is also another way to get your brand visibility out there. There's lots of organizations and groups who use silent auctions as a fundraiser. And so if you donate something, your services or a product of yours, then everybody who has attended that fundraiser will have witnessed that, and somebody will win it. And, you have your business cards there too. So you might get some more exposure and some mentions as well from the organizers as one of the, it's kind of, again, it is almost like a sponsorship opportunity there too when you're a silent auction donator. And you can also do a trade show booth, since we're on the line of talking about events here, you could set up a trade show booth, again, as long as the people who are in attendance at that event are your target market. That's a huge opportunity for you to get one-on-one conversations with people who are interested in your product or service and really gain a lot of excitement and exposure to your business that way. And then, of course, there's the good old-fashioned print, your print options. You got your direct mail, which I talked a little bit about in the last Tea Time Tip show, which I personally think is something that we should be doing more of, because nobody's doing it anymore. And so all of a sudden the tables have flipped, and you can get more exposure by, sending a piece through the mail. And you can get into magazines, especially trade magazines, where your target market is going to be looking at those magazines, local newspapers, editorials where you can become a writer, or just place an ad in there, and things like that. So it doesn't have to be a hugely expensive venture. Think local. Everybody lives somewhere locally. Even if you are a North America or global business, you can still do a lot of your marketing locally and let the energy spread from there. And so if your local newspaper is running a special on ads, go for it. If you think that your target market would be watching and reading that newspaper. And there are definitely still people who read newspapers, believe it or not. And then often these newspapers are also converting those advertising, that dollar. You also get an option to have exposure on their website too. So, you're still getting advantage of getting online exposure if you do a print ad with them. So it's worth discussing and finding out what your options are. And then there's the traditional media where, again, we're talking about more advertising dollars, but it all depends on what your goals are, your marketing budget, where you want to go in life. Do you want to become a multi-million-dollar corporation? Then you need to be spending bigger money on your advertising and marketing. And so you've got your radio ad spots. And in fact, like there's TV ads. Obviously there's TV ads, but again, us, as smaller businesses, that's probably way out of the budget. But just the other day, I was watching TV and a show came on, and there was sometimes those little bars come up and it said closed captioning brought to you by, and the company that was sponsoring that particular closed captioning was a local business. And I thought, how cool is that? Now think about, this was network TV and they sponsored the closed captioning. Now I have no idea how much money they spent. Obviously it's not super cheap, but it caught my eye. I definitely recognized it and I thought good for them. And so you can do that or those other little pop-up, those TV pop-up ads. They're going to be less expensive than a full blown out video, ad, right? A 30-second spot or whatever. So think about that. Think of that. Will your business really benefit from something like that? And then, you can even do billboards if you want to, right? Like there are so many options. And there's a real estate agent in our area. And every time I travel down a certain one of our highways, there she is, front row and center, and you know about her because of all the advertising that she's done. In fact, even in our grocery carts, there's advertising that she does right on when you're pushing the cart. You can see her ad right, physically on the cart. So there's more opportunities than what I've even described here because, obviously I can't cover every single option available to you, but I do encourage you to think outside of the box and don't just focus on, talking on Facebook all day and thinking that that's all you need to do. There is so many other options out there that you should be considering. Okay, and I just want to know, does anybody have any questions? If you have any questions about advertising strategies, please leave a comment in the section below and I will definitely help answer you. And so one last part that I wanted to talk about was actually the implementation of these advertising strategies that we've been talking about. So there's a few things, again, that, when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, you want to make sure that you have covered. So first of all, you want to make sure that your advertising carries a message that appeals to your target market. And so not just are we trying to get them your ads in front of your target market, but that message that they see also needs to appeal to them. We need to get them to convert, right? And so you want to create your pitch in a way that will resolve their problem. It'll answer their questions. It'll validate what's in it for me. It'll get them excited about your product or service and get them thinking, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. That's the message that you need to create before you actually post an ad. And you really do want to be showcasing the customer benefits throughout all of this. You don't really want to be showcasing the item features. So the features might be more appropriate in a way if you're talking to a more analytical audience. But even then, even if somebody is really analytical and they're looking for the numbers, those numbers need to excite them. And so it's not necessarily the features, but the what's in it for me, right? The numbers and just, get that emotionally that emotional response out of them. That's what we're looking for. And then it also needs to reach them where they are ready to buy and when they are ready to buy, not when you are ready to sell. So that's really important too. Like just like, let me give you an example. Like say you're a home stager. And so a home stager would only be needed when somebody is getting ready to sell their home. And so if you're trying to push your stuff on somebody who had just moved in, as an example, then they're not ready for your services, no matter how you look at it, right? And so this is where, when I talked last time about those lead generation strategies, this is why you want to do some sort of a list building, because right at that particular moment, they may not be ready to buy from you. But if you get them into your list and you do a newsletter, a regular newsletter that keeps reminding them about you, when they are ready to do business with you, you are top of mind. And so keep that in mind as well, that, there's that secondary level that we have to focus on as well as that initial level, right? Of just getting that initial conversion. We also want to get them to remember you when they are ready to purchase from you. Not just because you're doing an advertising strategy doesn't mean that everybody is ready to buy from you right at that moment. Also, through that media that they're using. So, like I talked about that before already. So, find out for sure what kind of media is going to work best for your strategy. There's really no use in running ads if your ideal market is not going to see them, right? So don't waste your money if you're running ads just because your gardener told you, oh, well, you need to be running LinkedIn ads or you need to be running Instagram ads. No, your gardener doesn't know your business as well as you do as to where your target market is, and that's where you need to be focusing your strategies on. And advertise what they want, not what you want to sell them. We have to stop thinking about, I've got this great product and I want you to buy it. That's pointless. What you need to do is think about, okay, what do you need? What can I create for you that you are going to need and want to buy? And I think there's a lot of people who don't think in terms of that. They jump in and create this business because of something that they love, and they find out that there is no market for it. There's nobody who's actually willing to spend money on that product or service. And so because they didn't do the market research first to find out. And that's kind of a side note. But, before you start spending a ton of money on marketing and advertising, make sure that you have a product or service that people are actually willing to spend money on. The bottom line. All right. So those are the strategies that I wanted to talk about. Setting up an advertising campaign can be very costly and get you little returns if you truly don't know what you're doing. I'm sorry, but there's so many people out there saying, oh yeah, it's super easy. All you have to do is click a button and you got this. Well, that's not the case. Yeah, unless you are a marketing professional, how can you possibly know everything that a marketing professional knows in order to advertise and market your business properly so that you're going to get the results that you're looking for? Especially when we're on the online world, because the online world is constantly changing and evolving. What worked 6 months ago doesn't work anymore. So you really need to be, work with somebody who is on top of these things. So that's why I highly recommend that you hire a professional to help you with your advertising and marketing efforts, because it will save you time, it will save you money, and it's going to save you a lot of stress and grief. And, going the do-it-yourself route is going to force you to become an expert at something that isn't your core competency. It isn't what your business is all about. And you're going to end up wasting a lot of time because you're going to get a lot of misses before you get any kind of results out of your efforts. And the next thing you know, you have focused so much time and energy on the advertising and marketing that your business is really suffering because you haven't been able to focus on actually building your business, even though technically you might be thinking that marketing is building your business. But no, there's so much more that you could be doing on your own that you need to be doing where your business will really thrive from those efforts. And so hiring a pro will get you the faster results and much better results. And you will end up with a much greater ROI, return on your investment. But, do your due diligence. Hire a trusted resource, not someone who has called you or emailed you out of the blue and and promised you that you'll get number one, top of the page of Google, page one. Like that's just not going to happen. Anybody who promises you exact results or exactly, number one, page one results, run, hang up, ignore. Like these people are just shysters. All they are doing, they're just self-proclaimed experts whose only skill is convincing people to waste their money on them. So please, please, please do not pay attention to those spam emails that you're getting and the spam phone calls that you're getting. The only business that they're in is to get you to convert, and then they're going to rip you off. That's exactly what it's going to do. And you're going to end up spending a lot of money, and you're going to end up having a really bad taste in your mouth for online marketers. And then you're going to be really shy about hiring somebody who could really help you. So do your due diligence and do some research into that company that you are trying to see if you want to work with them or not. Ask them for referrals and see what kind of results they're getting. And just really don't jump in really quick on making that decisions. We at eVision Media are the genuine article. I promise you, we will not promise you, immediate high results. We will not promise you with, number one Google, because nobody knows the answer to that. Nobody knows that. How to get you to number one. But what what Daniel does is lots of sweat and effort to do as best we can with your budget to get you the best results as possible. So we do partner up with our clients to make sure that they are getting the best return on their investment with their dollars. So you can give us a call. We have many clients who can vouch for us. And so give us a call at evisionmedia.ca and see how we can help you with that, with your marketing strategies. And we'll go from there, right? We work with a lot of clients. I've been in this business for 20 years. And so we do know what we're doing. So that's it for today's session. I so thank you for showing up. I'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.